Exactly, and you're right that having the special Landorus allows you to continue having all of the same benefits of Landorus. It's great typing, it's great synergy with a whole bunch of other Pokemon, but without the detriment of Intimidate. And that's something that we've seen people try to struggle with all season. Things like Melodic or Bisharp became popular and became powerful because of the prevalence of Intimidate. So, I mean, looks like you could either stack your team with Bisharp or Melodic, like we've seen on some of our stream matches earlier, or you can just turn all your physical attackers special.
Apparently, right?
Which we've also seen in the past, too. Yeah. I believe we saw a special Kangaskhan come out from Ashton Cox in the Madison region.
Yeah, we did, right? So players are always kind of trying to find ways around those strange problems. I think another thing that's cool about the special Landorus Therian that Angel is using is that one of the ways players are looking to shut down that Therian Landorus typically is Aegislash in its wide guard.
Yeah.
That doesn't work very well against the Life Orb boosted Earth Power. And I think that's one of the really great counters I wish we'd had a chance to see. Aaron, to his credit, was not so foolish just to walk into that one. But it's another cool part of that set, and you kind of get to see that there's a lot of things that it's pretty effective against that it makes sense. It's not as crazy as maybe as it looks, even though we've kind of grown to accept that Choice Scarf Landorus, debatably best Pokemon in format.
Yeah, that's a similar point to when we saw the Flamethrower on Charizards versus Heat Waves. And I believe we're actually ready for one of our pre-game interviews down on the main stage. So let's kick it down to Jonathan.
Thank you so much for that, Evan. We are here on stage with two of our top 4 trainers in the nation. You guys have come a long way after 2 grueling days. Aaron, how do you feel right now being on the stage for, what is this, your 20th, 30th time on the stage?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
How about yourself, Toler?
It's just wonderful.
It's wonderful. I was just asking them, how does it feel, Toler? You can give me the same answer if you want. How does it feel to be top 4 in the nation?
I'm not going to give you the same answer because I was joking earlier, but it feels pretty great. I did this once before in 2012 in seniors, and now I'm here with Masters, and it means a lot to me.
So this is your first top cut in Masters?
My first top 4, yeah.
Top 4, awesome. Well, congratulations, that is awesome. Now, you guys, Aaron was telling me you guys have met up prior to this match right now. When did you guys play exactly?
We played earlier in day 2 today. Toler beat me there. And then we also played at the last round of the 2013 World Championships.
Wow, so you guys already played today in Swiss, and you're here again, this time on the main stage. Do you feel any added pressure being on the main stage, Toler?
I mean, all the pressure got taken off when I got here. I think right now I'm just playing for fun against someone I know is really, really good at this game, and I have the utmost respect for.
That is awesome to see. The respect between trainers. We're getting awes from the crowd. It's really, really cool. Pokemon's one of those things that just unites us as trainers, and it's just so cool. I wish you guys the best of luck. You guys can hop into your match. We're going to throw it over to the casters and get into our top 4 at U.S. Nationals.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. I believe what's happening here is we have a couple of top 8 matches on the other side of the bracket that are taking a little bit longer than the Toler Aaron side of the bracket, so we're just going to hop right into top 4 to deliver as much VGC action as possible for everyone here, both in Indianapolis and watching the stream. So, really exciting match here. Toler and Aaron both, sort of graduated from the seniors division around the same time. But Toler became a world champion in the senior division and has a lot more success on the Masters level at the Nationals level as well.
Yeah, and kind of funny how they reversed, right? In 2012, Aaron was the senior national champion, Toler was the senior world champion, then kind of it's reversed since then, where Aaron's not been able to get much done at Nationals, and Toler has, but Aaron's been strong at Masters Worlds, where Toler's been close and had a bunch of like 3-4-2 range finishes.
All right, well, let's get right into the battle here. I don't want to take up any of your time. Both of these two competitors facing off again in another best-of-3 set. Game 1, we'll be seeing this from Aaron's perspective, so you'll be seeing Toler on the top of your screen. Toler's team, Gardevoir, Amoonguss, Landorus Therian form, Thundurus, Politoed, and Aegislash, up against Aaron's Tyranitar, Landorus Incarnate form, Washrotom, Amoonguss, Salamence, and Aegislash. And Scott, I'm really excited to get to cast this with you, because all season long, you've been trying to convince me that Gardevoir is good, and it has never shown up in our streams. So finally, here at top 4 of Nationals, Gardevoir finally makes it.
Yeah,
Why?
I'm actually really surprised that we haven't seen more of it in the West. It's one of those Pokemon that's huge in Japan, and usually like a month later, we'll kind of realize like, oh, we should copy that. We saw a lot of that with like say Eruption Heatran 2 years ago. Not so much with the Mega Gardevoir this year for some reason, but it's finally coming. I think we'll see more of it here. We'll probably see more of it at the World Championships. With that Pixelate Hyper Voice, it's now much more powerful offensively than it was last year, and also has some cool support options available in the last slot like Trick Room and Encore.
And it looks like instead of seeing some of those cool options, we're just going to have a double sword battle, Aegislash and Politoed for Toler, and Aegislash and Salamence for Aaron. So the Salamence actually a Pokemon we haven't seen much out of Aaron, just sort of made a cameo appearance in that last match against Aaron, but a very popular Mega that's been relatively recent as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what exactly he has here. There's a lot of different ways you can run the Mega Salamence, typically mixed nowadays, but Dragon Dance is also an option. But I guess one of the strange things about it is that it wasn't very good in that matchup against Angel, so we just never saw it. It's weird not to pick your Mega very much, but again, a sign of a veteran player, right? You're not just bringing his Mega to bring his Mega, bringing instead the best Pokemon for the matchup, and this time he thinks Salamence might be that Pokemon, even though if it does face down with the Gardevoir, he's got to be careful with it because Hyper Voice isn't going to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel like that's part of why you would bring Gardevoir, right? But, apparently Aaron disagrees. So Salamence actually going to switch out in favor of Tyranitar, going to make sure that the weather is not in Toler's favor here. Does not want Toler to have control over any part of the game, including the weather. Actually, Aaron deciding that his leads were not great, switches out both of them. Aegislash switching out for Landorus. Very happy to be in the sand, though. As Politoed going to give a helping hand over to that Aegislash, switching over into a Blade, because if there's nothing a Blade needs more, it's a hand and an arm to support it. Shadow Ball into the Landorus slot, almost a KO, just barely hanging on, 8 HP, and that's from a helping hand Shadow Ball from Blade form Aegislash.
Yeah, this Aegislash not holding a Life Orb, instead holding a different item, but still getting some big damage on that Landorus. Aegislash is still going to have a hard time dealing with it, but that's a great step. Toler cleverly not Ice Beaming the Salamence, which became the Tyranitar for piddly damage, instead getting a much better use out of his turn there. I guess the best use would have been to target the Landorus slot, but a much safer turn there, especially because I would guess this has happened before. Aaron switching that Aegislash out, having played a best of 3 already, you kind of learned some quirks of the matchup, such as which Aegislash is faster, and you've got to be very careful with the Life Orb version, because it's a little bit more delicate than your average sword.
Yeah, definitely. Toler's Politoed going to switch out as well, going to try and get that rain back on the field. Here comes the Rock Slide from Aaron's Tyranitar onto Aegislash and onto the Thundurus. Super effective damage. Thundurus going to be able to heal off a little bit of that with its Citrus Berry, so switches into a lot of damage. But the Earth Power into that slot, not going to take any damage. Shadow Ball from the Aegislash picks up the KO onto Landorus, so another KO for Toler, and a good position still with that Tyranitar just dealing a little bit of damage to the Aegislash, more damage to the Thundurus, but the Landorus Incarnate form dealing no damage.
Yeah, that's a big deal here. That Landorus is one of the most dangerous Pokemon on Aaron's team, and also this Tyranitar being out with Thundurus really isn't that great. You think of this as being, advantage. Tyranitar usually you've got the rock-type Pokemon, it's against the flying-type Pokemon, it should want this, right? But Tyranitar gets much less effective if it gets paralyzed. With that Choice Scarf, it doesn't have any choice but to switch out or take the Thunder Wave, and he's not going to want to switch out and give his Salamence that paralysis instead for free, so Tyranitar just kind of has to take it here.
Yeah, Tyranitar, you can see Aaron trying to change moves a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, the Choice Scarf not going to let him do that. Thunder Wave, though, will hit the Tyranitar. It stays in as Toler's Aegislash going to protect itself with King Shield. Rock Slide into the King Shield and then a Void from Thundurus. So no damage dealt from that Rock Slide onto Thundurus. And now there's just a paralyzed Tyranitar on the field. And Aegislash trying to get the Shadow Ball onto Toler's Pokemon, but into the Protect as well. So just a free paralysis for Toler. And that's Choice Scarf Tyranitar. When it's paralyzed, there's no reason for it to be out on the field, except to prevent something else from having something even worse happen to it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make this more difficult. It also makes this turn a lot harder for Aaron. If there wasn't a paralyzed Tyranitar there, you're threatening the knockout on Thundurus, which I guess he maybe should have gotten anyway, but both of his Pokemon are in danger now. He's got this Blade Form Aegislash, which he wants to King Shield to avoid exposing, but if he does that, he's kind of leaving the Aegis Slash on Toler's side alone, just to Flash Cannon Tyranitar, pick up that knockout, which, as much as Paralyzed Tyranitar isn't that useful, you don't want to get down to 2 Pokemon remaining this early in the match.
That is definitely true. Aegis Slash on Aaron's side, going to switch out for the Salamence, hoping to get a free switch in here. But Hidden Power from Thundurus, who is it going to target? Oh, it targets the Tyranitar slot. Toler trying to hit the Salamence, but picks the wrong switch in. So Aegis Slash now on Toler's side, going to do that Shadow Ball again, most likely onto the Salamence. Yeah, going to deal some free damage to Salamence, a good amount of damage actually, and another Avoid from Thundurus. So Tyranitar paralyzed, and yeah, I think the sand's getting in its eyes a little bit.
Yeah, it's having a rough go of it this game. Toler makes a pretty hard read there. I was a little bit surprised when I saw that Hidden Power. Would have been a great catch if he got the Salamence.
Had the right idea, wrong target.
Yeah, a lot of players, when they do something like that, they'll kind of like say Hidden Power and Flash Cannon Tyranitar. So if you get the switch, you get a knockout. If you don't get the switch, you get a knockout and guarantee the 2-4. He may have thought it was a little bit more valuable just to get some damage on the Salamence slot, which could be true. You know, Salamence certainly the Pokemon most likely to turn this game around now. So missing so much of its health, being in danger of being paralyzed here if it doesn't protect, which if it does would open up Aegis Slash to pick up that knockout of Tyranitar anyway. It's looking pretty bleak for Aaron in this first game.
Yeah, really backed into a corner for Aaron. Both of those Rock Slides not hitting Thundurus, meaning that the paralysis pressure is still very much on. So we'll have to see if this Salamence, in its second game here on stream, can prove its worth. Salamence going to Mega Evolve, trying to get any damage off if it can, or just protect. Does not want to take another a potential Thunder Wave. Aegis Slash, on the other hand, going to also protect, so no risk of the Flash Cannon onto Tyranitar. So Tyranitar still going to stick around for one more turn at least. And Thunder Wave does come out from the Thundurus into the protect. Tyranitar, third time's the charm? No! 3 straight evades, but now the sand's gone, so maybe Tyranitar can see more clearly now.
Yeah, Aaron seems to have a thing for chain missing moves. This time it's Rock Slide, just can't hit that Thundurus. There's an extent to which I don't know how much it matters. Like, I don't, like, yeah, I mean, it's helping. Like, Salamance's probably getting paralyzed here, or perhaps the Aegis Slash isn't a bad thing for Toler, but it's like, I think Toler's kind of expecting the battle to progress as well. It's just it's a little awkward for both players, but certainly to Toler's advantage.
Yeah, definitely to Toler's advantage. Of course, now you have the Tyranitar paralyzed. At least it's not fully paralyzed, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's trying to attack. I don't know if it's better or worse to be doing what Tyranitar is using, but it is different.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see if that Tyranitar can actually get off an attack. Salamence switching back out. Aaron really wants to make sure that Salamence doesn't get paralyzed, really hoping to set up a sweep there. Hidden Power, actually, from the Thundurus onto the Salamence slot, going to hit the Aegis Slash, while Toler's own Aegis Slash uses that substitute. As we saw earlier, it's a much more defensive sword and shield than some of the other ones we've seen. Rock Slide finally connects. You can hear a cheer erupt from the crowd for Tyranitar finally doing what it should have done 4 turns ago.
I mean, it tried so hard, though. You know, it was an extensive effort there by Tyranitar, finally getting its knockout.
Good hustle out there.
Maybe a little bit too late in this game, but you know, it does bring it down to 3-3. You know, as bad as this looks, the game is technically still tied here.
Yep, still tied, but Toler does have his Aegis Slash behind a substitute, and that Tyranitar is still locked into its Rock Slide and paralyzed. So it can still switch out to reset the choice lock, but it'll be switching into a Salamence while there's a Politoed on the field.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those at what cost switches. You know, even a Scald right now could be very close to picking up a knockout. The Aegis Slash on Aaron's side is going to have a difficult time getting anything done here. If it breaks that substitute, that's very likely as a Life Orb Aegis Slash. It is quicker than the more defensive one, which would make it a very easy knockout for the enemy Aegis Slash.
Well, it looks like Aaron is going to go for the play to try and get Salamence back on the field. Hopefully does not take any damage, but Scald from Politoed. That Salamence is pretty low, not quite picking up the KO. 4 HP, no burn too, so that Salamence is going to be around for one more turn. Unless this Aegis Slash was targeting it. Shadow Ball from Aegis Slash into the Salamence. So even with the switch in, the Salamence still goes down, and Aaron loses his Mega.
Yeah, wise play by Toler there. There's really just not much reason to risk it against the enemy Aegis Slash. He's got a number of ways to deal with it. it almost has to King Shield there because of the pressure from the substitute on Toler's Aegis Slash. He's just got very decisive control of this game and almost definitely going to be taking the advantage here.
Yeah, Tyranitar back on the field, but paralyzed means that it's just going to be slow and can only use one attack, especially as it's the last Pokemon, the last two Pokemon on the field for Aaron. So we'll have to see what Aaron's going to lock himself into here, and then most likely just a scouting turn for Toler just to see what he has to deal with, but could still go on the offensive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the smartest thing to do, though. If he wants to, he can just double target the Tyranitar, pick up an easy knockout there, and just kind of trust that Aegis Slash isn't going to take a 4-on-1 very well.
Well, it looks like Toler is going to go on the offensive, helping hand onto his Aegis Slash for the Shadow Ball into Aaron's Aegis Slash. That is shield form, but it is still going to pick up the KO. A super effective hit, and Aegis Slash goes down, and now it's just that paralyzed Tyranitar still going to lock itself into Rock Slide, which basically means that substitute is never going away. Deal some damage to Politoed, not very effective onto Aegis Slash, but of course, since it's not in shield form, it does actually break the substitute.
Yeah, I mean, we'll all mourn the substitute, but
Yeah.
a big knockout there, and also kind of interesting to see that Aegis Slash moving so quickly. I was expecting a slower version of this Pokemon than what we saw. Typically, when you're using the substitute moveset, you run it a little bit slower, use more defensive training, but Toler's got some tricks.
Yeah, Toler definitely has some tricks up his sleeve. Aegis Slash and Politoed going to be able to pick up the KO here onto Tyranitar. Game 1 going Toler's way with that Scald, and now a Shadow Ball again from Aegis Slash. Not sure if he just didn't want to show Flash Cannon, doesn't have Flash Cannon, or, well, finally Tyranitar is paralyzed, so next turn, actually, that Politoad is going to be able to pick up the KO onto Tyranitar.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have Flash Cannon, it could explain a lot about this game so far, actually. It'd be a very strange choice, and I wonder if Aaron would have seen whatever his other moves could be.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big piece of information, considering that Aegis Slash was pretty powerful this game without having to show it.
Yeah, definitely. So Toler going to take game 1 here, but some information learned by Aaron. Knows now that either that Aegis Slash doesn't have Flash Cannon or just doesn't want to use it. So there is room for Aaron to improve and make those adjustments that he needs to take game 2. Obviously, he's more than familiar with that. But Toler had a very strong set there.
Yeah, that he did. And, it's kind of strange for Aaron here. He went 4-2 in Day2 Swiss here, and now he's playing both the people he lost to in the first 2 rounds of Top Cut. Sort of a rough draw there. However, one thing that is working for Aaron is that players in that rematch scenario in Top Cut are 2-0. We saw Aaron win previously against the other player who defeated him, Angel. Blake also beat Wolf in that rematch to update the stream here. And the other match...
Raphael also won his match, I believe.
Yeah, so he knocked out the other senior world champion in Top Cut, Hayden McTavish. We're going right back into the match here, though, so no time to think too much about the other matches. Still deep in this one.
Yeah, the other half of the bracket is over there somewhere. Right now, we are in game 2. Again, this is Toler Webb against Aaron Zheng. So we're going to see if Aaron can bring it back or if Toler is going to be able to take it home. So let's hop right into game. Again, Toler on the top of your screen, Aaron on the bottom. Toler running that Landorus, Amoonguss, Politoed, Aegis Slash, Thundurus, Gardevoir, up against Aaron's Tyranitar, Landorus, Rotom Wash, Amoonguss, Salamence, and Aegis Slash.
Yeah, so it should be an interesting match here. Again, we've seen Aaron playing extremely well so far, but that first game against Toler was rough. We've got to see now what can happen. If he can find a way to adjust this one to play a little bit better than he did the previous time. It's tough, though. I mean, we saw how well he adjusted to the Angel matchup after he lost that one. You got to assume he thought just as hard about this one.
Yeah.
He probably stuck with him just the way the Angel loss did. And we just didn't see that much in that first game. Hopefully he's got a better plan for this one, or poor Aaron Zheng could be out of the tournament in the top 4.
Yeah, going to be a very tough matchup. Looks like Toler has a better handle on this. Pretty much showing why Toler won in that Swiss matchup. So Toler choosing if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Politoed and Aegis Slash up against Aaron, who is going to make a little bit of an adjustment, sending out that Wash Rotom and his Aegis Slash. I like the addition of the Wash Rotom on Aaron's side, especially if you know that Toler is going to want to bring that Politoed.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if he just guessed wrong on the Pokemon the previous game, but Rotom's definitely something that would have helped him against most of what Toler brought. It makes this lead a lot more positive for him. Obviously, Politoed doesn't want to play against Rotom here, and getting a burn on the enemy Aegis Slash before it gets a substitute up could be a big deal for Aaron as well. So kind of regardless of what he wants to do here, he's in pretty good position. It also makes things a little bit safer for his own Aegislash, where the enemy Aegislash is something to think about this time. Not quite as safe as it was before, but still going on the offensive.
Yeah, Toler just wants to stay offensive, uses that helping hand on his own, while Aaron is going to protect his Aegislash. So we'll have to see if he made the correct adjustment. Thunderbolt on Aaron's Rotom Wash onto the Aegislash, dealing a little bit of damage before Aegislash can get off an attack. Shadow Ball into the King Shield. So Aaron actually comes out a little bit on top that first turn. Obviously, it's not a huge amount of damage, but considering how poorly the last game went for Aaron, I would call that a win.
Yeah, I mean, he has that Aegislash stuck in Blade form now too, which isn't the worst thing in the world. This makes this next turn easier for him, though. I still has to worry about the same play now that his King Shield is down. I was a little bit surprised to see that Thunderbolt there. Hydro Pump would have done more damage to Aegislash if it stayed in, or Will-O-Wisp would definitely gradually do more, so most likely anticipating a switch there. So not a great play by either side, but neither side really loses too much either, other than that King Shield being down on Aaron's side actually is probably worth more than the damage on the enemy Aegislash.
We'll have to see if it is indeed worth more than the damage. Obviously, Politoed and Aegislash. Politoed hasn't been putting out that much offensive pressure, just helping Toler's Aegislash do what it does best. Aaron going to switch out his Aegislash for Tyranitar, going to bring the Tyranitar on the field. Feels a lot more comfortable having it on the field after the end of that last match with Toler's Aegislash being a little bit less effective against that Tyranitar. Toler going to defend his Aegislash with the King Shield of his own. We'll have to see if Rotom is going to go on the offensive against the Politoed. No, it is not. Going to go back onto Toler's Aegislash, while Scald is going to connect with the Tyranitar. Is it going to get the burn? Yes! Tyranitar, that Scarf Tyranitar, now burnt.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make things a little worse for Aaron here. At least he does potentially have some special attacks to choose from. I think we've only seen Ice Beam, but again, that's kind of the problem with the King Shield on Aaron's side being blown the previous turn. He was afraid of taking another Shadow Ball, so he took that switch, and it's tough. Politoed read that very well, wasn't afraid of the Thunderbolt from Rotom, and that's kind of just one problem, I guess. Not really a problem, a weakness of the more defensive Rotom, that it's not like you're threatening a big Thunderbolt that's going to knock the Politoed out in a single hit, so it can be a little bit more cheeky than most Pokemon can, staring down a super effective opponent.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more cheeky indeed, as Landorus switches in for that Tyranitar on Aaron's side. Toler going to switch his Politoed out in favor of Gardevoir, so Gardevoir making an appearance now. Toler won that first set without Gardevoir, so we'll have to see if it helps at all this game. Aaron going to protect with his Wash Rotom, while Toler gets up a substitute alongside the Gardevoir. So getting that substitute up for his Aegislash, we saw how effective that was last game. He gets the switch in for Gardevoir, and he gets a substitute up in favor of Aaron getting in his Landorus.
Yeah, that's a lot to give up for the free switch there. The Wash Rotom not especially effective against either of these Pokemon. Gardevoir is a pretty impressive special defense score, and Rotom already proving not to be the most offensive Pokemon in the world. Landorus is not in a bad position here with its Sand active to do a little bit more with its attacks thanks to its ability, but Gardevoir is probably going to get off a Hyper Voice here. Aegislash safe behind a substitute. There's a lot of threatening damage potentially coming from Toler's side of the field. Aaron desperately needs to make a play quickly to get control of this match because he's losing it once again.
Yeah, definitely needs to make a play now. You can see he's taking the full advantage of his move time. Does not want to mess up on this turn. Aegislash behind that substitute, staring down Landorus and Wash Rotom. Gardevoir just switched out onto the field, going to Mega Evolve. Toler can taste the finals. Gardevoir is going to put on her best dress in preparation for making it to the finals of Nationals here. Earth Power comes out from Landorus onto the Aegislash, so going to break the substitute. We'll have to see if Aaron's going to be able to deal any damage to it after the substitute fades. That Aegislash still in its shield form, so going to be taking reduced damage, but not going to take any damage actually, because Wash Rotom will target the Gardevoir. Hyper Voice coming out, dealing some good damage to both Pokemon on Aaron's side. Rotom going to heal up a little bit with that Citrus Berry. Aegislash now going on the offensive, switching over to its Blade form. Shadow Ball coming out from the Aegislash. Toler trying to make a big play here. Shadow Ball onto Rotom. Rotom hangs on, gets the special defense drop, but still is able to stick around for one more turn.
Yeah, should easily have both these Pokemon weakened enough that a Hyper Voice could knock them out now. I'm not sure if Gardevoir is weakened enough to be knocked out by an Earth Power now. I would expect it to be very close, but,
In the sand, too.
Yeah, in the sand. I mean, I would probably expect that to be a knockout. If nothing else, since they've played, this is the 5th game between them, or possibly the 4th, I guess, if it was a 2-0 the first time. I'd expect the players know, but we don't have quite the same information.
Well, Wash Rotom switches out for Aegislash. Toler's Aegislash switches out for Politoed, getting rid of the sand there. Smart play by Toler, making sure that Aaron can't deal as much damage as he wants to with that sand-boosted Earth Power. Going to come down to this Landorus. Earth Power is going to connect onto the Politoed, so just trying to get damage on anything that's not Mega Gardevoir. Hyper Voice from Gardevoir will be able to pick up the KO on Landorus and deal just a little bit of chip damage to that Aegislash. So Aaron decided not to go with the damage roll, probably knew that Politoed was going to come in and cut down on his sand power. So just switched on the Aegislash and sacrificed that Landorus.
Potentially a wise move. Getting that damage in Politoed could get it weakened enough now that Rotom, if it's able to get the chance, could knock it out with a Thunderbolt. His own Aegislash is a great check for that Gardevoir. I'll take a little bit more damage than the average Aegislash would, just because it's such an offensively trained version of Aegislash. But things could still work out because of that one. I think it's a much bigger trade-off if he misses that Earth Power KO, takes all that damage, and then ends up in a situation where Aegislash could have knocked out Gardevoir by a mile anyway, so there was no point in weakening it. So sometimes you got to take what you're given. But again, Aaron looking like he's in trouble here. He's got maybe 2 more turns to find something to turn this around before it's a little too far gone.
Yeah, he's down a Pokemon. That Wash Rotom is just barely hanging on. Gardevoir going first, using the Psychic onto Wash Rotom. Easy KO there. Toler takes another Pokemon advantage. Will this Aegislash be able to hang on? Politoed in the rain, scalding the shield, dealing not that much damage, but gets the burn. That's going to be really devastating, adding up the Life Orb plus the burn damage. Blade Form for Aegislash, Shadow Ball coming out. Will be able to pick up a KO here onto Politoed, just barely. Politoed will faint, so that leaves Gardevoir open. Aaron just sort of ignoring that Pokemon, loses some of its HP to the Life Orb and the burn, and that's a whole lot of damage that's just sort of incidental that Aegislash just took.
Yeah, it's going to have a hard time avoiding that too. That burn's going to keep ticking. It probably, at best, has 1 more attack left in this game, and it's going to be hard to actually find a chance to get it because Gardevoir could be threatening that Hyper Voice. Even if Aegislash has Wide Guard now, it's going to be stalling out its own health with that burn. Burn Tyranitar returning to the battle. A Scald seeming just incredible at burning things this weekend for some reason. And wow, the tournament of Aaron Zheng looks like it's about to be over here. 2 burn Pokemon are all he has left in his tournament run.
Yeah, both burned Pokemon on Aaron's side. This will be it. It's, make or break for Aaron Zheng's Nationals run here. Toler may just be able to take this away with a clean 2-0 sweep, only dropping 1 Pokemon so far in this game. You can see the pressure weighing down on both of their faces. Actually, Wide Guard coming out from Toler's Aegislash does not want to be taking any Rock Slides, but Aaron showing that special Tyranitar. Ice Beam onto Gardevoir, gets the freeze! Gets the freeze! Gardevoir is frozen solid. Just about the only move that Aaron could have made that might have helped him out here. Shadow Ball onto Toler's Aegislash, picks up a KO! And of course, that Life Orb and Burn. It's going to be a little bit of a tempered celebration for Aaron, but that should not have happened. This turn just got crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly the right play for Aaron, though. That's the only thing that he could have done with Tyranitar that would give him a chance to win the game. We do see Aegislash going down here, so Aaron's certainly not out of the water yet, but that low percentage chance of the freeze, it's still the only thing he could have done there to avoid just taking a Hyper Voice and being knocked out.
Yep, well now it's a burnt Tyranitar up against a frozen Gardevoir and a full health Thundurus. So Thundurus won't be able to paralyze the Tyranitar. Has to hope for another freeze here. Ice Beam comes out from Aaron's Tyranitar. Not going to pick up the freeze here. Thunderbolt from that Thundurus onto Tyranitar. You can see Toler's probably wiping a little bit of the sweat from his brow because that was way too close. But Toler is going to take Game 2 over Aaron Zheng. 2-0 victory, moving on to the finals of the National Championships here.
Great play by Toler there. A really impressive win. Almost impressive, I guess, as the previous series by Aaron. After a bunch of really close series, we got a surprisingly lopsided match in the top 8 and the top 4, but we see how strong of a trainer Toler is. He's actually had a hard time in the stream so far. I think we caught Game 3 of one of his sets on Friday, where he ended up losing. We caught a set from him earlier, where